Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to review Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, directed by Stanley Kramer from 1967. And in this film Sidney Poitier and Katharine Houghton plays this new couple who's very much in love, who is going to Katharine Houghton's parents, played by Tracy and Katharine Hepburn, and tell them that they have decided to marry, even though they have only known each other for, I think, was 10 days or something like that. And that makes things a bit complicated, since Sidney Poitier is black and Katharine Houghton is white, and for the time, and he is of course a doctor, Sidney Poitier, just a fun fact, and that makes things complicated for her parents, because even though they are very much supportive about the black people, they still is very much afraid about the consequences of their marriage, especially because they have only known each other for 10 days. And then Sidney Poitier make the ultimatum dilemma by saying to the parents that if they not approve about this marriage, they will not be married. And he said that to the parents without Katharine Houghton knowing it. So it takes that, so they have to decide through the day if they approve about their relationship or not. The film is very much made for the 60s really, and it's very glamorous, and I sort of love how the whole setting and how the clothes are, and how the technicolor look is, and it also feels, in terms of the dilemma of the film, it's very also much a topic for the 60s, where there was starting to be a little more the young generation were a bit more rebellious against the older generation, and there's still this kind of conflict between the young and the old generation, since the parents doesn't approve that much. Sidney Poitier's parents doesn't approve either, but it does make an interesting dilemma, even though it of course maybe isn't a realistic story, but it's still sort of a relevant dilemma, I think, especially also because you can even see today that because the world has become so multicultural, you do see people falling in love across cultures and different races. It's very much common nowadays, but there will still be those dilemmas, and people, the parents doesn't approve of those things. So there's a bit still a conflict between sort of a more conservative background versus a, how should I say, more I don't know what the right word is, but a more rebellious younger generation who just wants to go for their feelings really. And there's some very funny scenes in this film where Katharine Houghton says to her mother, played by Katharine Hepburn, I fell in love with him in 20 minutes, and Katharine Hepburn is just so surprised, in 20 minutes. And I think this is a very funny line, and it's a very funny film, even though it has a serious topic, but it is played a bit for laugh in the end, and I think it works best as a comedy really. In some ways the film can be a bit too theatrical in some ways, and there are some scenes where the actors is very much, I wouldn't say over the top, but they play very much like it was if they were playing on a stage. And then of course Tracy has to have a long monologue scene in the end, where you have to almost explain the whole plot for the audience and for the people, so he sort of explained his decision in the end. But it's okay, because even though maybe the scene is a bit too long and maybe a bit dated, that the scene is still very beautiful and moving, I think. And I really think it's a film very much about love in the end, and about love between two young people, and also love between two parents who just love their daughter and love each other really. and it's also interesting in that sense that in this film it's very much the mothers who are the rational in this film, you know, Katharine Hepburn, and also the woman who played Sidney Poitier's mom. They are the rational, because even though they are maybe they may very much also in shock, they do sort of believe that it is the right decision to accept their upcoming marriage, and it's really the men who even though they maybe isn't they think rational, but they are a bit more skeptical, and they only think about the consequences of the marriage. And I sort of like the idea. It's sort of the woman who in the end is the rational, even though they are very much more emotional engaged with this whole situation. And the film just have incredible actors in it, you know. And then it is very it is also a bit heartfelt to see Spencer Tracy in this, because it was his last film he made, and he died I think 14 days after shooting this film, and you can definitely see he's not looking that well, but still his performance was incredible, and I love Spencer Tracy in this role as this man who is doing all the right things, but he can't think clear about this whole situation, and he becomes desperate, and in some ways very he becomes angry and bitter, and I sort of like that feeling, because it's very, you can sort of see those types of men who do all the right things, but then they have to decide a very important dilemma suddenly in a very short time. Then they becomes very angry and stubborn, and they think all the other people are stupid and naive, and I sort of like that sort of character arc that Spencer Tracy has in this. It's very realistic, really. You can really see that type of figure in real life. Yeah, and I also just loved the song "The Glory of Love," I think it's called, that is played through the music right from the beginning, where Sidney Poitier and Katharine Houghton is in the airport. It's just played, and it's also in the end and midway through. It's a very good song, and it suits the film quite well. And yeah, it's really again a film made for its time, but it can definitely be watched today and still feel modern and relevant, even though it can be a bit stagey in some aspects of it. Yeah, I would highly recommend it to everyone. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let me know in the comments what you think of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and I hope you will all have a very nice day. Bye.